What's going down, people? What's going down? This is your boy Raashaan Myers coming to you guys live Sunday afternoon, early evening, and as I promised yesterday on Wake Up 502, with so much going on with Louisville basketball and the transfer portal, with so much news coming hot and heavy. Just doing the weekly show, Wake Up 502, every Saturday morning, 9 to 11 a.m. on Big X Sports Radio. It's not enough time, and it's not enough time to break to news as it comes. So of course, had the first couple of humongous portal commitments for the University of Louisville. Did not want to wait to get that out there. So, as I've promised, every time there is a new commitment, I'm going to do a special live broadcast. I will be giving my breakdown analysis of the players, what it means for Louisville, what these guys will, very possibly are gonna look like, as well as where Louisville's gonna go next, and what my personal opinion of what direction they need to go, things that seems like the direction that's happening. So we're going to talk about all that. If you guys have any questions for me, I will be monitoring Twitter and Facebook. I have the chat on here. So if you want to get any questions put into the chat, I can read those and answer those questions live on the air. Since this is kind of a on-call situation, I do not know if Romy Bean or Haven Harrington will be joining me. I let the fellas know that they are more than welcome to join. While I'm on here, we won't go too long, but I felt like being able to have a little bit of conversation and discussion for as rabid as the Louisville fan base is, you guys want to hear this stuff as it happens. So I just wanted to make sure that I could give as much content to you guys, and once it's out there and the podcast is out there, you can replay this to your heart's content. So definitely want to talk about it. The big news of the day, of course, is University of Louisville gets their two humongous commitments. Flory Badunga, the big man from Kansas, 6'9", 230 pounds. Jackson Shelstad, point guard, University of Oregon, 6'1", probably about 185, 190-pound point guard from Oregon. Two humongous commitments, two humongous names out there in the portal. Phil, appreciate you, my man. I appreciate you giving me the shout out. Thanks so much for that. Um, but I mean, I'm very excited. Like, as we talked about, once Louisville lost that game in the round of 32 to Michigan State, um, that's when conversations start, right? That's when your squad season's over. You talk about what went well, what did not go great. You talk about um, the hopes that Pat Kelsey does to change to put Louisville in a better position moving forward. Um, and I wanted to see which direction Louisville was going to go with their first portal possibilities. You want to talk about possibly what types of guys that he was looking at. So of course it was announced that um, Louisville's first two visits were going to come from the number one player in the transfer portal, who is Flory Badunga, and Jackson Shelstad, one of the best 2 or 3 point guards in the transfer portal. So two guys, firmly within that top 15 of the transfer portal. Humongous. First of all, just to get those guys on campus is huge, right? That's why being able to get those guys on there. Um, was huge to me. Like that was a flex, just the fact that Louisville was going to be the team that got the first visit from the best player in the portal. Like, don't get it twisted. Like, even if this had not gone the way that Flory Badunga committed to Louisville, that's still a flex. That with all the programs out there, regardless of whether it was Michigan that just won the title, UConn that was in their third championship game in 4 years, and all your other teams, whether it be Duke, whether it be Kentucky, whether it be Kansas, or any of these other big teams out there. Of course, Floyd would not have been visiting Kansas. He was already there. But just the fact that you get the best player in the portal to say, I'm going to Louisville first, because that's the squad to me that impressed me the most at the beginning of this process. I think that was huge. And then the fact that Flory did ultimately commit, that speaks to Pat Kelsey's ability to close. It speaks to Pat Kelsey's ability to sell the program. And it definitely shows me that he has a vision that these other guys believe in. Jay Hash checking in on here as well. Said we talked about him all week. We absolutely have been talking about Flory Badunga. We've been talking about the fact that Pat Kelsey, to me, going out there looking at for a guy like Flory Badunga tells me that he at least saw the same deficiencies that the fans saw, and that's the biggest thing. We talk about these coaches and say surely these coaches don't know better than we do, and to see that play out in real time is just awesome. Jay said, yeah, and this is true, Jay. Yeah, we talked about the point guard as well, absolutely. So it's time to like he said, it's time to build around these guys and see what happens. And that's kind of where I want to start once we get into the team aspect of it. But I don't want to talk about the team aspect of it first. I want to give everybody my thoughts. Shout out to LA Lakers 17. He said, "Why was we worried you called it?" Hey, like everything looked good. Everything looked good going into the weekend, right? Like it was. I know a lot of people got nervous about it. A lot of people got nervous about, was Louisville going to be able to get this done? Were Jackson Shelstad and Flory Badunga just using Louisville to push up offers so they could get more money from other teams? And I think that we got that answer, right? Like these guys are truly interested in the University of Louisville. They truly believe because yeah, you're going to get paid. Like that's the thing with these top transfer portal guys. They're going to get paid wherever they go. Okay, whether Badunga, took a visit to Duke, whether he took a visit to Michigan, um, wherever these guys were going to show up, they were going to get paid. So then it's about, okay, I'm going to get my money. Where's the place where I can go succeed the most? Because at the end of the day, these guys want to win. These players want to go into good situations. When you know your money's taken care of, you want to have the best, most successful time possible. So the fact that that gets done is humongous. Um, uh, and you know what, Lakers, I'm going to get to this. I'm gonna go ahead and pop it up there just so I can show everybody. Says, do you think we still need a big? Let him play the four. That I'm absolutely going to discuss as well. I'm not going to discuss it yet though because I want to save that for where we go from here. But before we talk about where we go from here, I definitely want to just talk about these individual players. Of course, giving Flory his flowers, I'm going to talk about him first because he is the best player in the transfer portal class. Louisville fans should know him well. He came to visit Louisville at the KFC Yum Center, the very first exhibition game of the year. Came out, was a demon. He was a monster. Pat Kelsey loves a big man that can run the floor, who's good in pick and roll, can dunk the basketball, and be very, very mobile, be a very mobile threat. Well, Floyd Badung is like the best at that. Okay, top 10 player coming out of high school, McDonald's All American. Um, is Louisville basically went out there and just purchased themselves a first team All American. Okay, a guy who is, the defensive, he's the reigning defensive player of the year in the Big 12, first team All Big 12, and was trending to be a first team, preseason first team All American. So anytime you're talking about getting the best big man, okay, or a big man that's going to be considered a first team All American for the next upcoming season. That's the type of player that you want to build around because that type of player means you're more than likely a second weekend team immediately just by having that type of player on the roster. So, I mean, this is huge. Like, don't get this twisted. Like, before we go anywhere else, understand that we just bought ourselves a first team All American, y'all. Like that's special. Okay. Yaxel Lindeborg was the highest paid and the number in the portal last year. Okay. And we saw the type of impact he had on Michigan. Now, it's completely different type of player, completely different type of skill set, but I think Flory Badunga is going to be just as impactful to the Louisville program as Yaxel Lindeborg was for the Michigan program. So, what else are you getting in Flory Badunga? First of all, you're getting a big man that is very switchable. He can switch to all five positions defensively. He can stay in front of point guards. He can stay in front of wing guys. Very, very long. Yes, he is only 6'9", 6'10" ish, but the thing that he has is about a 7'6", 7'7" wingspan, very, very long, very, very aggressive. Um, One of the biggest things that Louisville fans, you know, got very frustrated with Sananda Frew about last year was that Sananda Frew would get rebounds, and rather than taking the 2 foot layup, he's going to go, and as soon as he gets the ball, he's looking to kick it out to somebody on the perimeter instead of taking that easy layup, or, you know what, dunking the damn basketball. We won't have to worry about that with Flory Badunga. Flory Badunga, anything he cleans up around the rim, somebody's getting dunked on. So that's going to be something that's going to be a great addition to the team. I think that's going to make fans very, very happy. And some of the things that you feel like you may have had to explain to Sananda, you're not going to have to explain to Flory. Flory is a, born and bred, American big man. That one of the things we talked about, instead of having somebody who doesn't know the American game, does not understand the physicality or the aggressiveness that it takes, you don't have to worry about that with him. I mean, he's a guy who does have nice footwork around the rim. He understands how to utilize his pivot feet. He's not a guy that necessarily you're going to throw it to a ton and let him work on the block, so so to speak. Like, he can finish if he gets within 4 or 5 feet. Like, he's very good with his feet, but he's not a give me the ball and I'm going to the jump hook. Like, he doesn't do that much. He can finish around the rim, and he is very aggressive, looking to score around the rim, but he's not a we're going it and throwing it to Kareem, and we're going to watch him, shoot 10, 12 hook shots a game. That's not his game. Flory's trying to dunk. When he gets the ball around the rim, he's going to dunk, and he's going to play hard all the time. So that's one thing you don't have to worry about. I think it's A+ addition, most impactful transfer that the University of Louisville has ever signed. Any of the superlatives that you talk about, he's all of them. So the fact that Louisville was able to get that done, absolutely humongous. Now, the other guy that came in, the second part of this duo, this package deal, as they're calling it, Jackson Shellstad, point guard, University of Oregon. So the thing about Jackson, he only played 15 games last year for Oregon. Had broken his hand before the season, so he was already dealing with some hand issues on his shooting hand before the season. Broke his hand, finally got the hand healed, came back, played in 12 games, and then tore his some ligaments in his hand. I believe against Montana. I believe it may have been Montana. Somebody in the earlier part of the season. So it was before Big Ten play really got going. Um, Tore his hand up, was done for the year, hurt his hand in December, and that was pretty much it. Now, the good and the bad of that is, the bad is it was an injury. The good of it is it's not a foot, it's not an ankle, it's not a knee. He should be fine, good to go, very, very soon. It doesn't sound like this is going to be anything that's going to be lingering, so he should be good to go. And what Louisville's getting from Jackson Shellstad, um, if you look at this young man, he reminds me a lot of Peyton Siva. Has a lot of Peyton Siva in his game. Like I said, probably 6 foot, 6'1", probably about 180, 185 pounds. He gives Louisville something that Louisville hasn't had, honestly, in a long time. When you talk about cat quick guard, can get by his man, loves to get into the paint. He was a Jordan Brand All-American, leader, wants the ball in his hands, great creator in terms of getting by his man, getting into the lane. One of the things that we've lamented the first 2 years of the Pat Kelsey era is that Louisville didn't have any guards that could break down the defense and get into the lane and cause havoc. I mean, for even as good as uh, Chucky Hepburn was as a point guard, Chucky was not a guy that was going to use elite quickness to get by guys and get in the lane. He was going to use angles. He was going to kind of lean on guys. He could, get into that mid range and kind of create space and knock down mid range shots, things of that nature. That's not Jackson Shellstad. Jackson Shellstad is a guy who can, give that kind of head and shoulder fake, kind of give you the Iverson crossover, get by his man, very, very quick, can get in the lane, can finish with either hand, is a very, very good passer of the basketball. He's a true point guard. He's a true experienced point guard. I'm going to tell you how good this young man is. I'm going to give you my personal opinion. This is a young man that, had he been healthy all year, I feel like this young man would have no doubt been an all Big Ten selection. I don't know if he would have been an all Big Ten first team selection, but he would have made the all Big Ten team. Very, very good player. Sophomore year was a superlative player, both offensively, defensively. He made big shots. He wanted the ball in his hands. I know a lot of people looked at his shooting percentages. I believe his shot percentage dropped from 3 point range down to around 31% or so in his junior year. But you got to kind of once again remember he was coming off of a hand injury. Um, his shooting did suffer because of that. He was still kind of working that out just to turn around and get hurt again. So as a sophomore, on about 5 3-point attempts per game, he was shooting almost 39% from three. Very good shooter, limitless range, can knock it down. So I'm not worried about that part of his game. I think that those numbers are more about the fact that he was working his way back from a broken hand more than anything else. But when you talk about his combination of what he can do in terms of his quickness getting into the lane, which you love in terms of Pat Kelsey's want to have a guard that can get into the lane, create defensive confusion or collapses so you can kick out the shooters. He can do that. He can also shoot the ball from the perimeter, which Pat Kelsey loves in his system. And, lastly, he's an excellent defensive player. He's a guy who has very, very quick feet. He's not the biggest guy. He averaged more than a steal and a half per game last year. Even in his short sample size, he was giving you 1.5 steals per game. Very quick hands. Just a pest. He's a guy, like a Jared West, okay, defensively. He's not as good as Jared West. Jared West was averaging more than 2 steals per game. I don't think he's going to give you that, but he's going to be close. He's going to be a great on-ball defender. He's very, very aggressive. He is has that quick twitch type of burst that you like, and that gets me to my next point. To me, this young man um, gives Louisville their go-to offensive weapon next year. Okay, this combination of Jackson Shelstad at point guard, Flory Badunga at the center gives Louisville that pick and roll. Everything that we set up is going to be set up off of this point guard, big man pick and roll. Okay, because you have a big man that you've got to respect in terms of his ability to screen and then roll to the basket. He's going to have great gravity there. But the fact that if he does have that great gravity there, you have a point guard that's going to knock down jump shots at a high, high clip, or if the defense helps over, he's going to find guys to knock down shots. So Louisville has their go-to weapon for next year. The pick and roll between Shellstad and Badunga is going to be the bread and butter of Louisville's offense. So, like, that's what gets me excited. When you can have, if you know you have that, you have your captain offensively and you have your anchor defensively. That's what Louisville's gotten in the first week of the transfer portal. So I love it. I love the direction that Pat Kelsey's going in, and it's got me excited, man. I see you guys' comments coming in here. Let me go ahead and get to some of these comments on here. All right. So the first question that we talked about it a little bit earlier, LA Lakers 17 says, "Do you think we still need a big?" I will address that now. So um, first of all, shout out to Jody Demling and Cardinal Authority, as well as Michael McCammon. Those guys do great work. Cardinal Authority, we have a long-standing relationship all the way back to when Mike Hughes was running the site when it was insidetheville.com. But Cardinal Authority is still the best resource for all your Cardinal information. Jody does an amazing job there. If you do not subscribe, definitely subscribe. Go check them out. The work that Jody and Mike does is outstanding. So much of the information that I found out about what's going on within the program, besides, the little notes that I get here and there via DM or text message, the work that those guys get, the insiders there on that board, are second to none. So I'm going to give them a shout out. Now, to answer your question, LA Lakers, yes, absolutely. I totally agree with you. I definitely think Louisville needs to get another big man. I think that was my biggest issue last year, is that, you had Sananda Fru, who, went 6'11", 230, 235 pounds, and that was fine. You had one big man, but then you were Javon Hadley, who was 6'5", 6'6", playing the power forward. Like, that can't happen again. And from the sounds of it, the coaching staff understands that as well. Louisville is still very aggressively looking at a lot of the best big men in the portal. So, to answer your question, yes, I do think that Louisville needs another big man. I think Louisville's going to look to add another big man to that starting lineup. This will not be a four smalls around one big offense this upcoming year. Okay. That's not going to happen. From the guys that I'm hearing, the guys that people are talking about, Louisville's looking at a lot of guys. They are looking at guys that could possibly go bigger, to where Flory's playing the four. They could also look to leave Flory at the five and go with maybe more of a stretch four that still has size and physicality, but a stretch four that can step out, shoot the jump shot, shoot the three, because that's not Badunga's game. Badunga he knows who he is. He wants to dominate inside the paint. He's going to be aggressive inside the paint. He's not stepping out and shooting threes. He's not doing none of that. He knows what he does well, and he loves doing it. So I like the fact that Louisville's looking at going both ways with it, because, as Michigan showed, you can definitely go with the double big and go with the high-low passing and go with the double post, like they did with Mara and Morris Johnson, or you can do it more like UConn did it, right? Where UConn, had Terrace Reed down there, and they utilized, more of the stretch four that could still defend, could still rebound. I think they could go either way, but I do know that Louisville was definitely looking to add another elite big man to this starting lineup. So, who that will be, that still remains to be seen. I think that the biggest thing about getting these two pieces done, this sends shockwaves through college basketball. Okay. Louisville is now the team to say, we're the team to beat. Okay. Understand that in the portal era, every year is a new year. So, who was the best team last year doesn't have anything to do with who's going to be the best team next year. Okay, so what Louisville did by going out and making this first declaration of war is that Louisville is staking their flag on, we want to be preseason number one. Like, I'm not saying that's going to come to fruition, but all I'm saying is, now when all the rest of these guys that are in the portal are looking to make a move, Louisville can go into anybody else's living room. I don't know if they still go into living rooms. Maybe it's all Zoom calls, whatever. They can get into any conversation, whether it be with a player or a player's, agent. Is like, look, we're trying to win championship this upcoming season. Does your guy want to be a part of that? And we're paying top dollar. So I think that Louisville's off to a great start. They're gonna, that's a great conversation starter when you're looking at where they want to go with it. And I do. I think that Louisville's gonna have plenty to sell moving forward. Let me check some more you guys questions on there. Yeah, this is absolutely happening. UK and Duke board crashing out over this news. Absolutely. Everybody's crashing out over it, just because, like, it ain't no fun when the rabbit got the gun. These schools and programs have been dominating recruiting. They've been dominating the news cycle year in and year out. It's no fun when a team like the University of Louisville can go out there and take the people that they want. So I love it. I'm here for it. So yeah, give me all of that. Let's see what else we got coming in here. He's going to show Fru and others why we have the Duncan Cardinal bird on shirts. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Like, I think that this guy has the opportunity. James Scott had a lot of dunks last year via that pick and roll with Chucky Hepburn. I think we could see dunk numbers in that range. I mean, James had a lot of dunks. I don't know. He had like almost 100 dunks last year or something crazy like that. I think that Badunga, whatever James Scott had last year, I think Flory can have that many and more this upcoming season, especially if you have the right guys around him to space the floor, to give him that, to give him that ability to clear out. But the best thing about it is James Scott pretty much only got his dunks for the most part off of that pick and roll. Flory doesn't need that. Flory can get the ball himself, either attacking off the bounce if he wants to take advantage of a mismatch, or just getting the ball close. If the dude gets within 4 or 5 feet of the rim, he's going to dunk the ball, or he's going to try to dunk the ball, or he's going to make you foul him. So I mean, this dude is going to get his. I'm excited about it just because Louisville doesn't get many big men like that. It's been a while, so I think that he's going to be a factor time in and time out. Let's see, got another message coming in on YouTube. Steve Benz 8524 says, Card fan checking in from Seattle. These two had to be expensive. Do we know what this means for the remaining budget around them with this talent? Hey, from what I understand, there's been talk about John Blackwell, the shooting guard from Wisconsin, who's said to be, I guess, the number two. Some people even have him as Blackwell as the number one player in the transfer portal, one or two. He's the other best player. Louisville's trying to get him as well. Okay, I don't know if that's going to happen, but U of L is swinging for that. So that tells me that the Cards have money. Okay, like I don't know how much. I don't know officially what any of these guys are getting paid, but if they're trying to look out there, get a guy like Blackwell, they're still looking at other elite big men in the class. Louisville has money to spend. And this is the thing I look at, y'all. Like, look, Louisville, and I know I am blessed enough to where I don't have to pay to get into the games. I go to all the press conferences. Louisville is nice enough to give me a media credential and a media pass, but ticket prices go up every year. So because this money is not coming out of my wallet, if Louisville wants to spend this money to put together a team, I am here for it. They like those. It's not cheap to be a Louisville fan. So if Louisville can help turn some of that revenue into a better NIL budget, I'm here for it. So I love it. So I would just say this, Steve, I wouldn't worry about it. It sounds like the money's going to be there. Louisville's going to be, at or near the top of the NIL race this year. I don't know if they'll be at the very, very top, but I doubt there will be 10 teams that have better budgets than the University of Louisville. This start tells me, especially when I hear what else they're looking for, that tells me that the money's going to be there. So I would not worry about that. LA Lakers says Raashaan got me wanting to skip football season. I'm hyped. Hey, okay. Well, look. I love Coach Brom. I think the football team is going to be very good. So let's not skip any seasons. You know what I'm saying? Like we still want to see what the football team's going to do. We still want to see what Lincoln Keenhost is going to do. But I am excited. I can't lie to you. Y'all know I'm a basketball guy. Like Haven is the football dude. And bless him, I love him. But Louisville's a basketball school, okay? So I'm always gonna hype up the Louisville basketball first and foremost. So let me check on here and make sure we don't have any questions on X. I just want to make sure we don't have any because we got all our YouTube questions and stuff coming in here. So I just want to see just to make sure. No, I think we're good. Okay, we're good on there. So got more questions coming on here. It says Field of 68 already has us ranked as number 2 next year. Hey, I told y'all, getting Flory Badunga changes the conversation. Like most of the top 25s, which are dumb to put out at this point anyway, because nobody has any players basically. None of those top 25s had Louisville in the top 25. So the fact that Louisville gets this announcement of Shellstad and Badunga, and now they're up as high as number 2. I mean, hey, it just lets you know, like it's real. It's real. So yeah, I'm not surprised. Says Raashaan, is PK's 3-point system that he brought here since this is a big man game? So that's a good question. Like, I don't think this signals that Louisville's done with the 3-point shot. Okay. I think that there's a way to have a happy medium. And I think that's what you saw from teams like Michigan, with teams like UConn, even teams like Illinois. Even though Illinois shot the 3 a lot, they still have floor balance. The biggest thing that Louisville had with last year's roster was just a simple fact that they didn't have enough balance. Teams were sitting on the 3-point line and just basically daring Louisville to take anything besides threes because that's all they wanted to do. They didn't attack you in the low post. They didn't attack you in the mid range, and teams got super comfortable just kind of sitting and daring Louisville and to shoot threes. And what Louisville would end up doing is just backing up further and further, trying to get 3-point shots off. It wasn't until the last week of the regular season where we saw Louisville really start to attack, looking to get to the rim and taking some of those mid-range shots. And I think that's one of the places where Pat Kelsey really figured out that that's not going to work. Like I think that Louisville's still going to have great 3-point shooters. Jackson Shelstad is a really strong shooter. Adrian Woolley has not put his name in the transfer portal as of yet. It is looking more and more like there's a very good possibility that Woolley could very well come back, which is huge. And Woolley's a very good shooter. I think Louisville's going to add additional really good shooters in the portal. If John Blackwell decides to come to Louisville, very good shooter. Like Louisville's still going to look to shoot the three, but I think they're also going to look to be very much more balanced than they were last year. And I think that's going to play huge dividends. Let's see what else we got on here. Let's see. Texter says UK doing Zoom calls while we're doing visits. That's that is a good point. Like I know that Zoom Diallo did make his visit, so UK did get somebody there. We saw him at Keeneland. To my knowledge, he has not made a commitment yet. If Zoom Diallo goes somewhere else after what happened with Lamar Wilkerson last year, going to Keeneland looking like a hostage, just looking like a hostage video. Mark Pope might need to retire the whole Keeneland thing because I don't know if Hoopers in 2026 are really feeling the track. I mean, it just, especially like on just an average day. Like I can understand if you were bringing a recruit in for like Derby Day, just because of the spectacle of seeing that many people. Maybe that's something that would be exciting. But just your average Friday afternoon at Keeneland, I'm not sure that players really get excited about that. So we'll see what happens with Zoom Diallo if he does commit to Kentucky. But yeah, the UK's been announcing so many like Zoom visits, or seeing a lot of the UK media talking about Mark Pope. Did a Zoom with this guy and he did a Zoom with that guy. I don't know why you're putting that out there. I don't get it because it's all about the visits, right? Unless you're getting the guys to commit. Like I don't get it. I don't understand it. But all I know is that PK for the second or third year in a row has targeted guys, and he's gotten the guys that he targeted. At least early on, like Chucky Hepburn was his first choice. Terrence Edwards Jr. was his first choice. He was able to get Michael Brown as one of the best, if not the best, point guard in the class at the McDonald's All-American last year. He wanted to go out there and get Ryan Conwell and Isaac McNeely. Those were his first choices. He got both of those guys. He wanted Adrian Woolley. He got Woolley to come to Louisville for less money. To come to Louisville. And now it looks like he may even get Woolley to stay. So, like, Coach Kelsey has shown the ability to close and an ability to, be an impact recruiter. That's huge, right? So now it's just all about understanding what it takes to win. And that's why I'm so excited because it feels like I talked to Haven about this, that year two for Coach Kelsey this past year was also almost like another year one. Like the first year, it was all about just getting out of the stink of Kenny Payne off of the program. Okay. It was about Louisville coming back to being a legitimate basketball team and basketball program. So everybody was just happy for Louisville to have a good record and make it back to the NCAA tournament. Last year was the first year where there were actual expectations, and Coach Kelsey had to understand what did and did not work with a team that he built to try to do something in March. And I think that, there was definitely a lot of learning and there was a lot of growing pains with that. So I'm excited to see how he builds, because this honestly, to me, is really the second year of PK's recruiting, now understanding what does and does not work if you want to make it to an elite level. After getting your ass whooped 2 years in a row by Tennessee, getting your ass whooped by Arkansas on the road, getting beat up by Kansas in the preseason um, exhibition game. Like Kelsey's tired of losing those games. The man does not like to lose. So I feel like he's learned a lot from that. He learned where those shortcomings are. I think that John Andershek, the coach that came over from Campbell, I think that Coach Dixon that came over from Clemson, both of those guys are the types of guys that are going to help Louisville get the physicality and the defensive mindset that they need. I think Coach Andershek is going to really help with the big men. I think that Coach Dixon is going to really help with getting those wings and guards to defend at a high level, just like they do at Clemson. I think that both of those guys are really, really good additions. So I definitely think that at least early, Louisville is absolutely hitting all the right strings, but you still got to put it together. Let's see. AOP Anthony Moore says Kentucky fans feel Kentucky. I like that. Kentucky fans feel they are locked in for Stokes, make or break for them. Yeah, hey, Tyron Stokes. I know he's making a visit to UK. They absolutely are putting all their eggs in that basket. So I know Tyron and his family and his people seem to really, really be enjoying this process. I don't know if this is trolling. I don't know if he's actually going to make that commitment. From everything that I've heard, Stokes and the Kansas people still have a huge rapport. So I don't know. I know that Coach Mo Williams, who's now there at UK, has a pretty decent relationship with the AAU program that Stokes was playing for, or the high school program. I'm not sure, one of the two, but there seemed to be some connections, and they were able to get Stokes there for a visit. But yeah, you're absolutely right. But I will tell y'all this, like. This is Louisville hasn't beaten UK in Rupp since I believe 2007. Okay, I think it was when T. Will and crew were there. Was the last time that Louisville won in Rupp. It was either 2007, 2009, 2008, something somewhere around that time frame. I'm gonna tell y'all what. Like, I have zero fear about going into Rupp this upcoming year. And I'm going to say that after just two portal commitments, that I'm not guaranteeing victory, but I am going to tell you that Louisville's going to have zero fear going into that game. And Louisville's going to have a 50-50 chance of winning that game. I'm willing to put that pen to paper right now, that Louisville's going to have a shot to win that game and to win their first game in Rupp in damn near 20 years, which is insane to say that it's been that long since Louisville won a game in Rupp. But UK fans are scared. They are scared. They see what Pat Kelsey's doing. They understand what's happening. The power dynamics are shifting in the state. The power dynamics are shifting for basketball in a way that, I'm gonna be honest with you, I haven't seen in this rivalry in this state since Denny was doing it in the 80s. Like the power dynamic has shifted greatly. It's never gotten back on kilt, since then for Louisville as far as leaning to Louisville's way. But hey, I'm gonna tell y'all what, we ain't there yet. I'm not ready to say that yet, but all I'm saying is Louisville is looking eye to eye with UK as a program now, and UK fans know that. They are very scared for that. So yeah, I love that. Gonna take a couple more questions before we kind of look forward and then get this thing done with. See, Texter says UK fans talking about football recruits on their, yeah. Hey, they're in the honeymoon with Wilson. I can't hate on that. I would like to remind UK people that there's still UK football, and UK football is a joke as long as there's football played. And I know that Indiana winning a championship is giving everybody hope that anybody can win a title. But yeah, I need to still see Will Stein win a football game before we start talking about Kentucky going to playoffs or winning in the SEC or whatever. I ain't worried about that. Let's see, got one more message up here. Let's see, UK is desperate. Don't be surprised if they offer Stokes 10 mil because of all the pressure, from their spoiled fans to make a big splash. I'm gonna tell you this right now. I know UK is going to offer Stokes a lot of money. Some people are saying 5, 6, $7 million, whatever have you, giving him something close to AJ Labonte. It's going to take a lot. I don't know if UK has the finances to just do all of that. They're going to probably need some help from Nike to get that thing done. UK does not have the money like they did last year. From what I understand, and I know Goose Givens talked about it, that, UK, a lot of boosters, they put a lot of money into that roster last year and not getting the results that they had hoped for, that money is not there the way it was. So they're going to have to be a lot more efficient with it. And all I know is if they get anywhere close to a $10 million number for Stokes, I don't know what UK is going to do to fill out the rest of their roster. That might have been the reason that Trent Noah came back because they're just not going to have it. So, we'll see what happens with them. I will have thoughts on that. Y'all know I pay attention to UK just as much as I do U of L. I talk about anything that has to do with the state that impacts, U of L, UK. I pay attention to it all. But I just wanted to get together, talk about this. The biggest things that I want to see from here, I want to see I don't know if Louisville's going to do visits before every commitment. I do think that there's an opportunity that Louisville may go ahead, and if the numbers sound right, if the vision sounds right, you may just see some commitments out of the blue. But I will be interested to see who comes in for this second weekend of commitments. I know a lot of these players are trying to get done as quickly as possible. It sounds like John Blackwell is probably the next big fish. The question is Blackwell seriously considering Louisville? It sounds like he will not be making a commitment anytime soon. So it may be a while before we hear anything from him. But there's still so much excitement, so much to work out. I would just encourage everybody, like I said, if you don't know about Cardinal Authority, check them out, subscribe. It's definitely worth it. They have a great insiders board there. I think that that is a great resource. As I said, John, Jody Demling and Michael McCammon do a great job there. So make sure you guys check them out. But I want to see Louisville go out there. Let's find out what other big men. I think getting your big men locked down, getting your two post players, getting your 5 and your 4 locked up to me is the most important thing. I would love to see Louisville honestly go bigger. They're talking about guys like Yikatolu. I like the big man Chom from Cincinnati. I don't know. Chom is gonna be a big ticket item. So I don't know if Louisville's going to have the resources for that. But I'd love to see someone like Cham or Yigatolu or somebody of that ilk get hit up about possibly coming to Louisville. But I want to see Louisville lock down that other big man spot. Other than that, I need to see Louisville get an athlete. I need somebody athletic on the wing with size. I don't mind bringing back Adrian Woolley, but I don't want Woolley to have to be the starter on the wing. I would love to see. I know that Tyrone Riley was a guy that they were looking at from San Francisco. He unfortunately did make a commitment to Oregon, so he's out of the running. But I want to see Louisville go out there and find your athlete on the wing that has size and length. If you do that, you take care of your other big men. I personally feel like guards aren't necessarily a dime a dozen, but there's a lot of guys that you can get that can handle the ball, that can shoot the ball, and can defend on the perimeter. I feel like there's more of those guys available in the portal. What's not available is a lot of big, long athletes that are big and quick and really good post players. I think that you want to get those guys first. Another guy I would love to see Louisville get involved with is the big man Ndongo from Georgia Tech. I know that Louisville had or at least has had interest in him early. I would love to pair Ndongo uh, and Badunga together, even though that would be a lot to say every day, game after game, Ndongo and Badunga. But I would suffer through that if we could get those two guys, because I think that Ndongo is the type of big man that's maybe a little below the radar. So maybe you get him a little cheaper than some of these other guys. Ndongo is another guy that goes about 6'9", but he's got a 7+ wingspan. I think he's maybe in the 7'2" to 7'4" wingspan area, but he's long, very good shot blocker. He actually has really good touch to shoot from the mid range and from the 3-point line. So I think that he would be a nice complement to Badunga, but he's also going to give you that pick and roll lob threat. I think Louisville could do a lot of that. I think you could probably switch 1 to 5 if a guy like Ndongo came. Louisville could literally switch 1 to 5 a lot like Michigan does. And I think that would pay huge dividends. So we'll have to see what Louisville does on the wing, at the guard positions. I definitely still want to see them add probably 2 more ball handling guards, point guard type players. I think that Shellstad is a great start, but I think that they need another superlative ball handler. I do know that they were still heavily looking at Quinn Ellis to come in and be another player in the backcourt. So that lets me know Louisville is definitely looking for another guy with point guard level handles. So I think that where they go with that, whether it be Quinn Ellis, whether they go in another direction, I definitely think that Louisville wants to get another superlative ball handler to go along with some scoring punch from the perimeter. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see what's up next. I definitely appreciate you guys checking out. Let me make sure to check out the. I saw a couple more comments come in. Blackwell to make a big three, then add at least one 7 footer and a solid wing. I'm right there with you. If you can do that, if you can add another 7 footer and get Blackwell. Yeah, I don't really care. And give me a defensive wing. I don't care who else you put out there. You're gonna have a pretty good group. So I'm right with you on that one. LA Lakers just said, "Who's next, Raashaan?" I just, kind of talked about who you want to look for, and he says, "I'm always donating to 502. Basketball is Louisville." You know what? I cannot disagree with you there. Um, Louisville's a basketball city. Louisville's a basketball school. That's why we're always number one every year. That's what we do. So I just appreciate you guys. I wanted to hop on here. LA Lakers says, thanks for coming on for the fans. You the man. Hey, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you guys. Anybody gets to listen to this, whether you're looking at it live, where you check it out on podcast. I appreciate you guys. Make sure you guys check me out every Saturday morning. Wake up 502, 96.1 FM, 1450 AM, Big X Sports Radio. We're on Saturday 9 to 11. We're here for the fans. But like I said, if there's any other news, any other commitments, I'm going to be on. We're going to break this down, and we're going to continue to break it down until we have a full roster. Thank you guys so much. And like we always say, without struggle, there is no progress. Peace, y'all. Thanks so much.